I'll kind of give a high-level overview, and then I'll go into the features that have changed inside the cab, and then some on the engine compartment as well. But we talked about the market shift, and we're seeing some of the customers shift from, say, a rubber tire skid steer to a compact wheel loader. And from a commonality standpoint, you can see here we've got a trencher on the front that we showed in the demo. You've got your skid steer loader coupler, so you have the ability to run a number of skid steer loader work tools on that. You can also get what we've got on that machine is a horizontal pin coupler, so a European style coupler with an adapter plate on it. So in Europe, we're starting to see more customers put skid steer loader attachments on the front of their machine, and so they'd use an adapter plate like we have over there. But primarily we'll see the skid steer loader coupler in the US. And while this is a standard flow machine, so you get about 22 gallons a minute, you can get high flow on this machine. So you can get up to 33 gallons a minute. So you can run a number of skid steer loader work tools, mulcher, trencher, brush cutter, and that require a higher flow. The one downside that we don't have versus, say, a XHP skid steer is we don't have the pressure. So hydraulic horsepower is flow times pressure divided by a constant. So while we can run some of those tools, so say a high flow cold planer, we might be able to do 19 linear feet per hour. XHP skid steer will probably be able to do 25 linear feet per hour. So while ours will run it, we may not be as productive as, say, an XHP machine. So they say, well, why wouldn't you just make this a mulching machine, or would you recommend it for mulching? And that's where I say, well, it can run a mulcher, but if you're doing dedicated mulching all day long, that 299D XHP land management package is a phenomenal machine. So there are some limitations here from a pressure standpoint that I always just want to caution about. From a loader arm standpoint, the 906 all the way up to the 972 has the same loader style, so it's an optimized Z-bar. And what that means is you get the benefit of a Z-bar, so digging. I mean, Z-bars are always good at breakout force, digging into a pile, but you don't get the parallelism of an IT machine. So that backhoe that Sherry talked about is an IT front linkage. You get some great versatility there from work tools, but also visibility or parallelism when you're raising up. So if you're using a set of pallet forks and you want to make sure that load remains parallel all the way up, you don't want to have to keep repositioning it. With this one, you get the benefits of that plus the breakout force of a Z-bar. So you get the parallelism of an IT machine with the breakout force of a Z-bar. So that's the benefit of the optimized Z-bar, and it's all done through the loader geometry. So on an IT machine, you'd have cylinders running down both loader arms, and you wouldn't have the center cylinder. And so you would have to decide, do I want a Z-bar for breakout, or do I want an IT for visibility and parallelism? But now you get the benefit of both with this design. So coming around on this side, some of the features here with an articulating wheel loader, the benefit of being able to articulate side to side, so you're not dragging that tire, you're not disturbing the ground, and you're not wearing out your tires, you're not running as high a horsepower. So that's the nice thing about having an articulated wheel loader. And then this also oscillates. So if you were to run over a rock or a log or anything on your front tire, this whole front frame is going to pivot up, but your back frame is going to stay on the ground. So you maintain 4 points of contact. That's another difference between a rubber tire skid steer versus a compact wheel loader. You maintain your traction. You can, if you ran over something on the back, that whole back end is going to go up, but you're going to maintain a level cutting edge on the front and maintain 4 points of contact. So the benefits of having not only oscillation but articulation as well on these. This, you can see this right here, that's your accumulator for ride control. So we do have ride control as an option. So when you're doing a lot of roading, it's nice to have, it's similar to skid steers where it's using the front cylinders. So it's using these cylinders right here as shock absorbers. So if you've got a full bucket and you're running down the road, it's now going to allow that to fluctuate and maintain a better ride on the machine. So it's not putting that whole load or force back through the machine. It's going to allow it to go through those cylinders and make a lot smoother ride. So that's a great feature if you're doing a lot of roading as well. It activates at 6 miles an hour, so you can leave it on and not have to worry about it. So when you go into a pile, it's going to deactivate. It's going to firm up the cylinders, so you'll be able to go dig into a pile and not have that smushy feel. And then once you start roading, it'll kick on automatically. So that's nice. We also have return to dig on this machine, or what we'll call a work tool positioner. So if you're going into a pile and you want to make sure that your bucket is at the same angle every single time, so you're not having to try to figure out, okay, is my bucket at the right angle? Am I going to go in too aggressive and cut down, or am I going to go in too shallow and I'm going to end up riding the bucket up the pile and not getting a good fill? Now you can set it to where you want it, and so when you go dump into a truck, you hit your joystick into the detent, and it's now going to go right back to that position. You go down to the ground and you're going to be ready to go into the pile. So that's a nice feature as well.